What's going on, everybody out there? This is Popular Stranger, and we are back at you again today with another Madden 22 Ultimate Team video. In today's video, we're going to go over the top 5 users in Madden 22 right now. This is your September update. We've been dropping the top 5 series over the last couple weeks. This will also be the last video in September for this series. We'll circle back around. We've already covered halfbacks, cornerbacks, and quarterbacks. We'll cover those towards like mid to late October, and we'll start tackling some new positions in October as well. But this is something that I want to update every single month. We just kind of ran out of time and started it too late in September, but early October, we'll start to address some other positions, and we'll definitely update the top 5 users in October as well. But if you guys are looking for users to use in the Madden 22 streets, here are going to be some of the players that you can use. We'll have a top 5, the official top 5, but we're also going to go over some budget players to start out. And if you want to go super duper budget, extreme budget, Gold Isaiah Simmons is the card for you. 2,500 coins. Super cheap, like I said. The main things that you want to look at with a user are basically speed, height, and then agility and acceleration are also very important. But basically, I went on to mutt.gg and I sorted all of the cards by height first and then speed secondary, and this is mainly what we came up with. I have some experience with a lot of these cards as well that we're going to use in this video. I haven't really used Isaiah Simmons, and I would think maybe soon he's going to be getting an upgrade. But listen, he's 6'4", that's always good. He's 86 speed, he's a strong safety. Now, before we continue on and go over the rest of the cards, I do want to talk about how you can assign strong safeties as your user linebacker, just in case you guys weren't aware. When you're in your lineup screen, you're going to want to head on over to specialists, and the sub linebacker is basically going to be your primary linebacker for most positions, almost every position. Usually you're going to put a safety in there. A lot of you probably have Chancellor in here, and we'll talk about him in a little while because he's, probably the #1 option if you have him leveled up far enough. But this is how you get a safety at linebacker. Now, it is also important to note, you can only do this with strong safeties. We do have a free safety or 2 on our list, and you can still use our free safeties if you have them up on the screen, playing their normal coverage. And there are different formation subs that you can do to put free safeties down in the box kind of as a user linebacker. But whoever your main user is going to be, whether it's a regular linebacker or a strong safety, you're going to want to assign them to the sub linebacker position on your specialist screen within your lineup. So sticking with some budget-friendly options here, Lorenzo Carter, team builder card for the New York Giants. You can find him around 40K. He might be up and down in price because of Team Diamond sets, but roughly about 40K is what you can get him for. He's not an ideal option as a user, but he is very tall and very fast. 6'5", 88 speed. He's more of a rusher, a pass rusher, but if you want to get a little crazy and use one of the tallest players in the game, that's also one of the fastest, tallest players in the game, go check out this Lorenzo Carter. Again, a good budget item. For under 40K, another, linebacker who's not an ideal user, but at least he's good at pass coverage, and this is Jeremiah. I'm not going to try to say his last name, but he plays for the Cleveland Browns. 89 speed, 6'2", so obviously a little bit shorter, but he's also bringing a little bit more speed, and another just really good option for all of you on a budget specifically. And the last budget option here that you can get for about 35K, another cheap card out there. I had him on my no money spent squad for a little while. He was actually a really popular player amongst the pros early on in the year. Starting to feel a little bit outdated, but he still has good speed, a lot shorter than some of the other cards that we took a look at, and he is a free safety. This is Nasir Adderley, 89 speed, 6 foot even. He's got solid zone considering his overall at an 84. He's got 81 zone and then 81 excel. Again, this is a free safety, so this is going to be a user. You can substitute him in certain positions down in the box as a linebacker, or if you like to use your safety in their natural position, you can do that as well. But not as tall, right? But he is pretty fast, and one of the other budget options that we have. The good thing is, in our top 5, they're also not extremely overpriced, so you can find some good players at some good prices there. But before we get into our top 5, we got to talk about the #1 option that all of you should have. And that, of course, is Chancellor, this year's Mutt Master or Ultimate Champion. Now, depending how far along in your grind you are, this could be your best player on defense, or he could just be an average card right now. If you guys don't know how to get this Cam Chancellor and you don't know how to level him up, we put out a video very early in the year, but you still want to follow those guidelines on how to level up your Cam Chancellor. Right now, you can get him all the way up to, I think, a 95 overall, and with the right chems, 96, maybe even 97. But he is currently my sub linebacker, as I showed you earlier on my lineup screen. We got him to 89 speed. He's 6'3", man coverage 84, zone 89 with the strategy cards that we have on the team. And of course, he has really good hit power as well, which is another thing you're going to focus on when it comes to users. Fumbles are kind of hit or miss this year. It seems like I never force them often, but I also fumble a ton. So I've been playing on conservative a lot lately, but fumbles don't seem to be incredibly overpowered, which means hit power usually isn't that big of a factor, but it is always nice to have on your user players as well. So coming in at number 5 is actually a linebacker, and he's more of a run stopper rather than a pass coverage guy. But if you're going to user him, right, it's Brian Bosworth, and in my opinion, safeties are probably more ideal for users this point in the game. It was the same last year and feels the same way this year. But if you do want to try to use a linebacker, and maybe you're going to use this guy in, you know, running possible situations, and then when it's pass heavy, you'll switch your user to a safety. Brian Bosworth, I think, is pretty solid. 6'2", he's got 88 speed, so he's pretty fast, pretty similar to most of the cards we're taking a look at so far. And then he also has 90 block shed for the run game if you don't user him but put him on the field, and 91 hit power. So we talked about speed, height, and hit power, and he checks off all three. Not the fastest, but definitely the fastest linebacker out there, other than Devin Smith. But Devin Smith is incredibly overpriced, and I shouldn't even say overpriced. He's just really, really expensive. Now, as far as abilities go, I'm not really going to focus this video much on abilities like we've done with the other top 5 ones. With Bosworth specifically, you might want to put like Deflator or Enforcer on this card, but overall, at the end of the day, you're going to want Acrobat on your users if you're using a safety or a corner if you want to get really wild. But for safeties, I would recommend, and this is why we're not really going to focus on abilities going forward in this video, to put Acrobat on there. The remaining 4 guys we take a look at can all get Acrobat, but if you're going to use Bosworth, here are his abilities. And again, you're going to want to go with either Deflator or Enforcer with him. Now, as far as pricing on Bosworth, he's not too super expensive, right? If you want to power him up, you're going to have to get his power up plus the Team Diamond, or you can go and complete the set. But on PlayStation, about 260K, I would say he's probably cheaper than that, to be honest. You can probably, if you look at the recent sales, you can definitely get him in like the 220, 230 range. On Xbox, the average price is 231K, and then finally on PC, we're looking at about 224K. It's not a bad idea to have him on your team and a safety, so you have kind of a double option for good users, and one is going to be good in the run game, and then your safeties are going to be good against the pass. Now, the next card up is Trevon Merrick, and he was one of the early season users of the year, and he's still top 5 in my opinion, right? So we have him on the list. There's 2 problems, and I'm showing you this for a reason, right? His rookie premier card is an 86 overall, but there's just not many on the auction house, and they're hard to find. And as you can see right now, the only card that's on there is his core rookie. So this is not the card you want to buy, but this card is tough to get, and it's kind of overpriced now in a way, considering that he is still a top user. There are cards that you can probably find for much cheaper. So a good card. If you're rocking a Raiders Steam team, you're definitely going to want to check it out, and we're going to use mutt.gg to show you the attributes on this Merrick card. So he is also a free safety. We talked about that with Adderley. You're going to have to kind of substitute him in there, but he does have 90 speed. He is 6'1", so those are the things that we're taking a look at. Man coverage 81, zone coverage 81 as well. The hit power isn't crazy. It's 86, but I think the combination of him being 6'1", being on the Raiders, so Raiders Steam team, it's going to help you get those speed boosts, and also the 90 speed there is why this card is still a top 5 user in the game right now. But I would probably say, I mean, we went over Bosworth first because he was a linebacker, and that's kind of why I put him at number 5. I would kind of say Merrick is probably number 5 right now because he's starting to feel phased out. If you can get him on the auction house right now, on Xbox, he's averaging about 168K, on PlayStation about 190K, and then finally on PC, 251k, super overpriced on PC. But again, I think that's because the lack of this card, it's not in packs anymore. You can't really obtain it. A lot of people who did their rookie premiere sets took the nat version of this card, so obviously they can't sell it. And all of those that took the sellable version probably already sold the card or are using him. So he's a little bit tough to find, but still top 5 user in Madden 22 right now. Coming in at number 3, and honestly I could make a case for this card to be number 1 if you factor in his price plus what he can do on the field, is Ultimate Kickoff Adrian Amos. And remember, with the Ultimate Kickoff promo, you could get a lot of these cards for free, so hopefully this was one of your free picks. He is a strong safety, which means you can put him at sub linebacker on your lineup screen. 6 foot even, not the tallest compared to some of the other cards that we've taken a look at, but still 6 foot even is pretty good. 88 speed, he's got 88 acceleration, 83 hit power. The good thing about this card, right, is if you're not going to use him all the time, he does have 87 zone. I used this card a lot up until probably the last week or so when I got my Cam Chancellor to where he is now, and he just made so many plays for me. I would definitely check out the card, and again, the good reason that this is a good option for you guys is because number 1, you could get him for free if you played your Ultimate Kickoffs, and then also he's just really cheap in general. 87k on Xbox, very affordable, under 100k. You guys know if you've been watching the series with the budget series, I'm sorry, with the top 5 series, the budget cards have been under 100k, but this guy is also under 100k and also in our top 5. He's that good. And just from the experience I've had with him, I definitely recommend this card. 87.5k on PlayStation, and then finally on PC, about 75k. Two more cards to go. Rising Star, Divine Diablo, definitely a MUT favorite right now, a card that you've probably come across or played against recently over the last couple weeks, and he's definitely worth it, and I can see why. Strong safety, 89 overall, he's got 90 speed, he's 6'3", 90 hit power, acceleration at 90, agility at 87. I mean, this is just a really good card. Again, another Raiders theme team card. Now, Jack Tatum maybe could have been on this list as well because he's really fast and's got good hit power. But the reason that I left him off is because he's 5'10", definitely worth mentioning. But Team Diamond, Jack Tatum, another option. Raiders theme teams, I mean, they got Merrick, they got Diablo, and Jack Tatum. They are set on safeties, and if you add in those speed boosts, it's just going to make these cards even better. But, you know, this combination of speed, height, acceleration, hit power, it's just a really good card. I could see this guy potentially having a golden ticket towards the end of the year. And you can put him at sub linebacker considering he's a strong safety. Another really good thing about this card, I just kind of raved about Adrian Amos and how good he is and his price. Well, this card is clearly better when you look at the attributes. And also, he's just not too far priced after him, right? On Xbox, about 117k, so we're talking like 20 to 30k more to get this card on your team. It's definitely worth saving up for if you're on a budget. On PlayStation, about 131k, but if you look at the recent sales there, they've been in the 120s, so you could probably get them for that. And then finally on PC, under 100k, 94. So PC players, if you're watching my videos, go get this card ASAP if you don't have it. Let's move on to the number 1 user in MUT 22 right now. And that is the legend, the GOAT, Sean Taylor, 91 overall. This is the Ultimate Kickoff Master, our hero card. So it is going to be a bit more expensive, but worth every single penny. Now, he is a free safety, so you can't put him in at sub linebacker, but there's a lot of different positions that you can move him in there within the game. So, like, I run a lot of nickel 246 right now. You can put him in there at nickel 335, regular nickel, big nickel over G, any diamond quarter or dollar formations. You can get him down there in the box. He's going to be dependable in the run game as well, but take a look at everything as a whole. 91 speed, so he's super fast. 6'2", he's pretty tall, a little shorter than some of the other cards, but 6'2" is still good money. Acceleration is 91, so he's going to get to that top speed quick. He's got 89 awareness, 91 agility, so we're looking at speed, agility, height. He's got all of that, and also he's got 91 hit power. I mean, this is the ultimate user card. The only thing that he could be to make him better, but it's just not going to happen, obviously, is a little bit taller. But Sean Taylor, by far, in my opinion, the number 1 user in the game behind Cam Chancellor. And there's one other card we didn't talk about, and I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it. There is a free safety Megatron out there that checks all the boxes for a user. but you got to pay like 30 bucks for him, so I'm not going to recommend that card at all. Please don't go out there spending your money on that card. If you already have him, make sure you're using him as your user, because he's certainly worth it. But please don't go out and spend the money on that card. It's just not worth it. Go get yourself a Sean Taylor instead. Now, he is a bit more pricey compared to the cards we've looked at all video, but definitely worth it in my opinion. 248K on Xbox. On PlayStation, he's coming in at about 257K. And then finally on PC, about 255K. And those are your top 5 users, plus a bunch of bonus options, budget options as well in MUT 22 right now. This is the September update. We'll be back mid-October, late October, to give you some more names when we get more cards to come out. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Popular Stranger. I'm out. Peace.